President Trump is now considering phasing out a program that has protected young undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. Some big international news today. The United Nations Security Council unanimously passed a resolution that hits North Korea with a new round of sanctions. It's been a big question for a long time. This immigration debate really divided the country for months now, and tonight both sides are speaking out. Fox 40's Sinceri Thompson joins us live at the Capitol with that story. We're continuing to follow now the protests in the Bay Area this weekend. Things largely remained peaceful during planned protests in San Francisco yesterday. Not the case today. They took a more tense turn this afternoon in Berkeley. Yeah, in a time when Congress really doesn't seem to get a lot done, agree on much, or like to spend money on infrastructure, people in the Sacramento region have pulled together and they've secured $50 million for a streetcar project that's now going to connect one growing city to another. And that is where we begin tonight, right in southeastern Texas, where thousands of people are dealing with damage and with devastation there. And while officers couldn't tell us the speed that the car was driving at, you can see from the police markers just how far it was from where the bike was found and where Moore's body ended up, some 40 yards down the road. A 37-year-old man dies after getting shot right outside of a house party in South Sacramento as well. This one happened just after midnight. And here from Sacramento, we've got crews that are actually on the ground right now in Texas, trying to do whatever they can to lend some help. The Detweiler fire is still burning, but there is some good news. Fire crews are gaining the upper hand now. Flames have burned 75,000 acres already. Now, just for some perspective here, that's bigger than the entire city of Sacramento. Now, we are not going to show you that video in its entirety because it is just simply too disturbing. This crash happened on Friday in Los Banos, but the teen suspect lives in Stockton. And that's where Fox 40's Karma Dickerson is joining us live tonight. Karma, what can you tell us about this?
We are continuing to keep an eye on the Oroville Dam. Efforts to shore up the emergency spillway are still underway. Fox 40's Joe Khalil is live at the Oroville Dam with more on the work happening now. Joe.
Yeah, and even now, throughout the rain, we're still seeing crews in the air and those helicopters making those big boulder drops. We're still seeing crews here on the ground. The presser today, it was all good news from all the agencies that are working on this. All of them appear to have a better handle on the situation than they did a couple of days ago, but still, it's raining right now. It's been raining all day, and that is what has people nervous here in Oroville. Trucks on the ground, helicopters in the sky over the Oroville Dam despite the rain.
We've been working very hard to reduce the water level behind the lake.
Department of Water Resources Acting Director Bill Croyle says they've made good progress lowering Lake Oroville's depth, now at 861 feet. Hoping to bring that number down to 850 by the end of the weekend, giving the dam more room to collect fresh rainwater without the likelihood of mass flooding.
Again, Mother Nature's in the room, but I do not expect that to be a risk.
Friday afternoon, engineers slowed the dam's water releases from 80,000 to 70,000 cubic feet per second. Another sign of confidence, the emergency spillway will hold up. But many people in Oroville still getting ready for another evacuation.
But I know there are people that are in panic mode.
But I am going to watch, and if it ever gets close to the overflow, I'm not going to wait for him to say it'll never happen. Take my leave.
Like many forced to evacuate last weekend, Leah Harrington says the ordeal made her more prepared. Should it happen again, she's ready to go at a moment's notice.
Did you cover everything? I left my checkbook, medications that kind of had, but there's little detailed things that you got to remember.
So you have them now?
Oh, all of it.
Now I have a bag and stuff. Make sure I have provisions at home in case I can't get out.
Butte County Sheriff Corey Honey says officials have their eye on the weekend weather, but don't expect more evacuations.
That the likelihood is low, but my job is to keep people prepared, so they've got to pay attention.
And the sheriff there also said that it wasn't just residents of Oroville who feel more confident if they have to evacuate their homes. He says he, his own department, other sheriff's departments in the area all feel more confident in the evacuation process if it comes to that because of what they had to go through and learn from last weekend. Reporting live at the Oroville Dam, Joe Khalil, Fox 40 News.
As a battle brews between so-called sanctuary cities and the Trump administration.
Fox 40's Joe Khalil spoke to some members of the House and the Senate today. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. Joe, it seems like this fight isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
No, you're right about that. You know, we've heard a lot of back and forth already on this sanctuary city issue. And even after we had a federal judge declare that it would be unconstitutional for the government to strip funding from these cities, still, if you ask the people who work here at Capitol Hill behind us, this issue is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's a fight as ideological as it is political. Cities across the nation, like Sacramento, refusing federal orders and instead holding strong on being sanctuaries for undocumented people at risk of deportation.
The administration's policies as it relates to sanctuary city are just overreaching. And I'm very proud of California and its leadership on this issue.
U.S. Senator Kamala Harris has pushed back against the administration. She's asked for a commitment to protect undocumented people brought into the U.S. by their parents at a young age, and stands behind a federal judge's order that the president can't cut funding to a city or a state.
We have seen progress in terms of pushing back against that, but it's far from over.
The Trump administration's repeatedly threatened to strip funding from cities and the state of California for not complying with immigration orders. Despite the threats, some mayors nationwide, including Darrell Steinberg, haven't changed their sanctuary policy.
I'm always worried. You know, the federal government is powerful and the President of the United States is powerful. But we have to stand strong for our values.
While 2 federal judges ordered the president's move unconstitutional, he still carries support among members of Congress.
If a community or a state is refusing to enforce federal law, they should not be receiving federal law enforcement funds.
California Congressman Tom McClintock calls it a no-brainer. He says anyone in the U.S. illegally should be deported.
Every other country in the world enforces their immigration laws. Why aren't we?
What both sides do agree on, the debate and the battle in Congress are a long way from settled. Now, last night, Congress did pass a temporary spending bill that will avoid a government shutdown, and it's going to keep the government funded through September. Interesting to note that in that funding package, nowhere was anything mentioned about cutting funding to sanctuary cities or to the state of California. Reporting live in Washington, D.C., Joe Khalil, Fox 40 News.
They survived Nazi occupation, but now elderly twins are facing another battle, homelessness. Now their family is desperately trying to help them.
Fox 40's Joe Khalil has the story you'll see only on Fox 40.
For 84 years, twin brothers Clifford and Gary Kukok have done everything together. Survived Nazi occupation in their native Netherlands together, moved to the U.S. and worked in Hollywood together, and now have become homeless together.
Right now I'm broke.
So you're just relying on friends to help you
eat. Sometimes we don't eat.
10 years ago, they say they wanted to fix the roof on this Orangevale home, which the twins say they bought from their mother. It's been in their family since 1984.
We took a loan thinking that we had a conventional loan.
But it wasn't. It was an adjustable rate loan, meaning their payments got higher and higher over time. Eventually, they couldn't afford it. The bank foreclosed, and in October of last year, they were kicked out. The 84-year-old twins had nowhere to turn. They began sleeping in their car together. We asked if they ever felt overwhelmed.
All the time. I would almost say hell.
Hell. The two say they spend most of their time now just walking. Both log plenty of hours at this Orangevale library. Gary mostly pores over deed records, trying to find a way to get this house back. But the odds aren't good.
They were just living in their car in front of Rayleigh's when I found out.
Aaron Herner's been a family friend for 10 years. He's been making a social media push to find them more permanent housing. The whole experience has given him a new perspective on homelessness.
And it's easy to walk by and not look at their situation, but if you stop and talk to somebody, everybody has a story.
And their story has certainly had its dramatic ups and downs, and at 84, they seem to have hit their most difficult chapter.
It's a lot of stress.
It's difficult.
I'd rather go back to the war and go shot at in this crap.
Clifford and Gary have both been able to stay at the homes of friends on and off, but now they say they're looking for more permanent housing. They're also looking for an attorney who's dealt with predatory lending who might be willing to look at their case. In Orangevale, Joe Khalil, Fox 40 News.